stiff arms the crap out of Drake Kirkpatrick right there.
Going down again. It's Q. Red Williams.
Fighting through contact, fighting through offensive line, beating a double team, multiple moves stacked into one. Just a play of pure domination. This is actual film. This is actual football talk. It's a football show. We're supposed to talk football, not storylines. Hello, and you are listening to another edition. Like I said, pumping out the podcast as the draft is fast approaching. Today is the 6th, and it's on the 23rd, I think, so about 17 days left. This is the third draft-related podcast that I'm doing. Like I said, I still have a couple more guys to do, but 6th edition. Today we got 30 plays of Tristan Wirfs, the right tackle / left tackle from Iowa. And then we have Wills coming up on the podcast, and then we have CeeDee Lamb. If you follow me on Twitter at JoeRB31, I've already done Wirfs. I've already done Wills. Just finished him today, literally like an hour ago. And then I'm going to start posting CeeDee Lamb either tonight or tomorrow, but we'll move through him pretty quickly. I think we got like 24 plays of Lamb, about 24 plays of Judy, and there really wasn't much on Ruggs, so Ruggs going to be like 11 plays, 12 plays. I don't really have a lot on him. So that'll be a quick one. And then we have Chase on, who's like 30 plays. So all that stuff's coming your way. I appreciate all the support. The channel is growing. You know, I've been here for less than a month, like 3 weeks on doing the podcast, and we've already grown the YouTube by 100 plus followers. So let's keep that going. Keep up with the comments. Somebody commented that every Jets fan should follow this. I appreciate that. We also got some feedback in terms of the podcast being too long. I think I was on the Perryman podcast, which was 2.5 hours, which, yeah, it's a long one. Also had a former NFL player on it to break down film, so we get a little bit more in depth. And listen, there's plenty of people out there who will show you 3-4 plays with not much in-depth discussion about it or really any knowledge of the play, and they just make it seem flashy. Oh, look at Becton truck this guy over, and then he gets like 1,000 retweets, which is like crazy to me. And there are shows who will do 5 to 10 plays, and if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But for the listeners of this podcast and the followers of JetX and the followers of Blitz, I want to dive deep into guys, not just give you 3, 4, 5, 6 plays. And listen, if 30 plays is too long, or maybe if I do like the McGovern review, which I did 3 hours on in 2 different podcasts, nobody's saying you have to sit down and watch YouTube. Hey, the only way you can watch is if you watch 2 hours straight or an hour and a half straight. You could break it up or even just get the feel from it and click off. That's completely fine. So I'm going to continue to do the podcast in depth. And if you want to learn a little, and you only want to watch half an hour, fine. That's good with me. But there's too many people out there who watch the full thing and want to learn a lot about the guy. So I'm not going to stop doing that. I do appreciate the feedback, though. It wasn't like too negative or anything like that. So I'm not calling the guy out. But that's just my reasoning for it. I like to go in depth with guys. Like I said, JoeRB31 on Twitter. You can follow Michael Nania at Michael_Nania, our stat guy at JetX. Jets X Factor is the Twitter handle that promotes all the stuff. Like I said, $6 a month, $50 a year, or $60 a year. I think it's worth it for the content that we are producing. Nania just did, I think, like 2 different mock drafts for the website. I just posted up Wills up to the website. Like I said, CeeDee Lamb coming. YouTube at Blitz. If you're listening to just the podcast, if you're listening to the YouTube or just watching the YouTube, I should say, go to the podcast app. Type in Blitz. If you have an iPhone, I think it's on an iPhone. Just throw a 5-star. You don't have to throw a review. Just a 5-star rating helps me out a lot. Like I said, get out to other people. The more people subscribe, the more money we have to dedicate to the site. The site gets better. The more writers we get, the better equipment I get, etc. You can do so much more. So I'd appreciate that. It just helps me get out to more people. So it takes a lot of work to do this. So if you could just take 2 minutes, that'd be really, really awesome. And that is really it. Like I said, draft coming soon in 16 days. Let me pull up a play of Wirfs. Like I said, we have 30 of him. So this should be a little bit over. This should be a little bit over an hour, maybe like an hour and 20 minutes-ish type podcast. I'll see if I'm right when I upload it. But let me pull up one of his plays so we could share that. All right. Oh, I literally always forget to do this. The strengths and weaknesses. Wirfs right tackle and left tackle. Iowa 65 or 65, 6'5", 34-inch arms, 320 pounds. I watched Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, USC, Iowa State, Miami of Ohio, and Rutgers. Strengths. He has let's see how many weaknesses he has on my list right here. Yeah, so the weaknesses aren't a ton. You're going to see it next with Wills too, and just to reveal my spot on my board for him, he is my third overall player on my board of the 8 I'm watching, so he's my second tackle. You had Becton, who's my sixth overall player of the 8. You had Thomas, who was 5. You have Wirfs, who's 3. Becton's lower than Thomas on my board, but for the Jets at 11, I'd rather have Becton fall than Thomas fall just because of his fit in the zone scheme, wider splits, lighter personnel, 10-11 personnel. Becton is a better player in terms of getting positional leverage over physical leverage than Thomas, where I think Becton could do both, but Thomas, you really want him in a power gap scheme where he's going to get physical leverage, getting under guys' pads, driving them laterally, driving them for vertical displacement, instead of having to reach block guys and use scooch techniques and inside pillars and outside pillars and all those different types of things that come with a zone system and a little bit more lateral movement. Now, if the Jets do end up getting Thomas, I still think it's a good pick. I'll be happy with that at 11. I'd like to see them implement more inside tight zone, split zones than outside zone, mid zone, because the farther you get outside, so you go from belly to tight to inside to mid to outside to wide. Those are the 6 type of zones those are the 6 ones you work off of. Those are the baseline ones. The tighter you get inside, the more it's about physical leverage instead of positional leverage. The wider you get, it's a lot more about positional leverage. So, and moving a lot more with your feet and getting to the second level. And if you're the tackle, not having to worry about the 5 tech because the left guard is going to pick him up and you have to get out to the overhang edge or the outside linebacker or the safety. Like, you have to move a lot more the wider it gets. So if they were to draft him, definitely stick to more inside zone type stuff. I would say at least that fits him the best in terms of the zone systems. Like I said, power, gap, counter, ISO, all that stuff fits him overall better. But I don't know where I'm going with that. But Wirfs is, like I said, my third overall player, my second tackle. To read his strengths and weaknesses, great body build at 6'5", 320 40, 34-inch arms, lateral quickness, fits well in zone blocking scheme. Strong core and upper body, played both left tackle and right tackle, switched at times during games. Quick feet, smooth feet, plays with hands on guard, a quick, accurate punch, works to reset hands, good angles and pass sets, flexibility and balance, body mover and run game, tough Iowa mindset, awareness of blitzes and stunts, great athlete, wrestling background shows, good anchor, moves well in space, good base, lateral stop start, short area quickness, works to stay on blocks, grip strength. In terms of his weaknesses that I noted, plays on toes too often, waist bender, can be a little out of control in run game, takes large steps and pass sets. I cannot speak today. Maybe it's because I'm just woke up not too long ago. Maybe they're doing a lot of podcasts. I think it's this is 4 podcasts in 8 days. No, 4 podcasts in 6 days. We did Perriman, we did Thomas, we did Becton. Yeah, I think this is 4 podcasts in 6 days or 7 days, whatever. But back to the weaknesses. Takes large steps and pass at typically 4th and 5th step. I'll show you that. Doesn't cover any ground on first step. Opens gate with punch. Late punches show up. Needs to work on bringing feet with him into block. See him getting pulled, jerked. I just realized I literally see him getting pulled, jerked off balance. maybe I should put jerked, pulled off balance instead of jerked off balance. But hey, jerked off balance in both pass and run. Punches land wide at times. I think I already said that. Needs to add footwork techniques. Can be a little hoppy. All right, so let's get to the first play, Blitz pickup. And there's going to be some times I'll have to look at exactly where he's playing on all these snaps. So he is okay. So he's 74. So he's the right tackle. Like I said, he's going to switch some. So I'm going to have to be a little bit more specific with where he's playing. But he's the right tackle right here, top of your screen. Nothing crazy here with the hip movement. He's going to get into like a 45-degree set when he's setting outside. Off of that first step to the outside, he realizes that they're running like a twist game right here, where it's just some gap exchange, whatever you want to call it, where the edge is going to crash inside the B, and then this linebacker, the will linebacker, is going to scrape over the top and rush the C gap. So Wirfs wants to pass that off, get hands on to the D end, just in case the right guard doesn't get to that B gap quick enough to cover that B gap. So I like how he stays square, shuffles back inside, gets his left hand on, but doesn't commit his whole body to the block. You can see that like cross shove. He stuffs him into the inside. Eyes on the second level. Drops and gets quickly on him. It's a lot of the stuff I feel like I'm gonna have to play in full speed so you appreciate his athleticism, because you play in a slow motion, it's kind of hard to say. But you see how with Thomas, I just did Thomas 2 episodes ago. When he's in his slide right here, there's a lot less of the head bouncing. It's a lot more smooth, his even pad level. So nice smooth feet, fast feet. Gets his hands on him. Good base. Looks like he has good leverage. Maybe leaning a little bit from the top. But overall, still a good block for Wirfs right there. Let's go to finish block. There's gonna be a theme in this of finishing blocks. Sorry. Okay. All right. So he is the right tackle again. I think the first couple of games he's playing right tackle that I show. Then he starts to transition to like the left tackle in between like different reps. I think that's like Iowa State that starts happening. We'll see. So he likes to take this like these 45-degree sets where he's not dropping straight vertically. He's not even really necessarily just dropping at a straight 45-degree. It's almost like an altered like 45 degrees, a little bit more vertical into it. So let's see what happens here. Because like I said, I'm going through these all dry. Like I'm pretty much watching it the first time. So good balance in the kicks in the kick slide. I don't think his feet are too his steps are too big. You'll see it become an issue a little bit later into the podcast or into the film review. Good balance, relatively small choppy steps. He doesn't really reach for contact. He shoots that right. Looks like the right lands inside. Again, these angles suck to work from, especially for offensive linemen. Shoots the right, that gets deflected. Has to reset his hands. Again, he's not panicking. He's not too top heavy. Good base. Shoots the hand. The defender tries to bend the edge, and he's not able to. And he finishes a lot. He'll just jump on top of you to finish the block, and he'll lay on you until the play is over. You see how he's still laying on him? And he looks for the quarterback to see if the quarterback's completely gone. So I like how he finishes this. Really just this kind of gets marked as a positive for his balance and his pass set not reaching. Good base, and then finishing the block. So let's see the next one. All right. Finish block. Oh, this is another finish block. So right tackle. Again, another 45-degree set. He's getting outside. I like how he readjusts he frames the rusher well right here. You can see this foot is pretty much splitting the rusher. And as he jumps outside, but he sees the rusher change his angle a little bit more inside and directly rush at Wirfs, and he's not going to overset. He roots down his feet right here, just runs his feet. Now he does. This is where I say that his punch is a little bit wide at times. See, the punch is wide and late, and the guy lands into his chest. Which he has room to do against a guy who looks like he's 220 pounds, 225 pounds, maybe 230 at most, when he has a good 80, 70, 80 pounds on him. So I like to see a little bit better of a punch right there, and not necessarily just a wide punch onto the shoulders. He gets bowled back. But I like the flexibility he has right here, and to be able to get on balance when he's off balance or he's getting thrown backwards, throws his feet backwards, works off of the instep of the left foot, readjusts his hands, is able to land his right hand under the ribs, and his left hand is most likely into the chest, and just pushes him past the quarterback's level. So yeah, he gets bull rushed back, but he knows where the quarterback is, so he doesn't panic. He knows that the angle of the outside linebacker, edge, whatever, the end, whatever you want to call him, is going too low, or underneath the quarterback. I guess really over top of the quarterback. So he's just going to continue to take him on that angle, doesn't panic, gets his hands into him, and he's going to continue to drive, and plants him to the ground. So not a good initial phase. I like I said, how he doesn't necessarily overset, but I would like to see a little bit earlier hands, and maybe one of those hands into the chest, outer pec, whatever, maybe not, but not too high and wide. When you're high and wide, you're not controlling a lot of their body, and you're going to get bull rush, especially in the NFL. So some good, some bad. I would say mostly good right there to show that recovery. Weight on toes reaches. Okay. Another 45-degree set. He's not dropping straight vertical. Again, he's a big 45-degree set player. That's where he feels comfortable. That's fine. Not every guy's in a vertical set where a guy likes the 45-degree set, or Thomas might vertical set something and Wirfs might jump him. As long as you have good technique and the technique is effective and it's warranted in that situation, like, okay, if you're gonna try to jump set a guy who's a wide 9 and your quarterback's taking a deep drop, then yeah, I'm going to criticize it. But guys have different techniques. You have to take that into note when you're looking at guys. You can't just expect every guy to do the same thing every single way. So he's a big 45-degree setter, which is okay. In this situation, it's not, because he oversets. So he 45-degree set. This guy. So in this scenario, it's just kind of perfect. I talked about this. I didn't really necessarily know that this was going to happen on this play. Like I said, you don't want to be this square with this guy. If anything, like I said, you want this outside foot splitting the rusher. Here, it's almost his inside foot's almost splitting him more than his outside foot. He's definitely the rusher definitely has inside leverage, and he has no help to the inside. So this is an overset for me. Now at this point, I would like to see him just recover with his feet right here. So he has the time, the time to, especially with his athleticism, to drop the post foot right here and get back inside and push him, over top of the quarterback. But he panics a little bit right here and just throws out his hands, and you're throwing out your hands, you're disconnected right here. You can see that his waist is going in a different direction than his hips are. So he's disconnected. You're not going to generate a lot of power. All of this power is from his upper body. It's not from his lower body at all. So the punch is not going to be very strong. He gets double swiped, and the quarterback gets rid of the ball, but he takes a shot because of Wirfs. So like I said, you do see some oversets right here, and a little bit of him being a little bit too top heavy. So I like to see his foot technique change a little bit here, and instead of reaching like this, drop that post, get your hand inside of him, and then wrench him. Get your hand on that rib, on that back, and do that wrench. Like I said, the wrench technique. You're gonna have the left hand or the inside hand onto the chest, the outside hand onto the hip, and you're gonna straighten his rush out, and you're gonna stop him if you have strength. He has strength to do it. So, especially as a wrestler background, he definitely has strength to do that and contort his body in weird angles, and has some muscle fibers most likely built up from working from weird angles. Okay, so 5. Like I said, the hair, I keep looking at it. It's going to get. I don't think, and I hope people are saying safe. I haven't said it a ton, but we were doing podcasts every other couple of days. Stay inside. I was driving the other day to the food store. I go to Whole Foods because they have like a limit of like 50 people can go in at a time. Instead of Food Town, we can go every person at a time, which is crazy to me, especially in the tri-state area. There's a lot of sickness right now, so drove the Whole Foods, and there was like beach traffic because it was nice out. Like, it's crazy. People are and that's why it's going to continue. I think the other day, the coronavirus I'm talking about, I think the other day was like the highest deaths we had in the country. So it's going to keep going up. So I think this is going to be around for another month or two. And like I said, hair does not grow out or long. It grows poofy. So it's going to be crazy. But my barber's not open. Maybe I'll order clippers, but do I really want my fiance cut my hair? I don't know. I don't do any like fancy fades or comb overs or any crazy stuff like that, but still. Okay. So stunt pickup right here. So, and he's the right tackle. I would say he's oversetting and opening his hips up a little bit too soon for me. And this is where some of the footwork comes in, where you see that first step does not cover a lot of ground, that right outside foot. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's when I said that 4th, 5th step are big. And he does that way too often. I see that all the time in his game, where again, not covering ground, and then he's going to hop outside. And when you're hopping outside, just like I was talking about with Becton and all these guys, crossing their feet, leaving their feet. I talked about it with Brashad Perryman with his hop step that he likes to do before breaks. This allows you to not recover, not change direction quickly. And now look how off balance he is trying to recover to the inside. So he needs to take shorter strides because he oversets here, and he has too big of steps. So takes those too big of steps, not able to recover, and he's not going to be able to work laterally from this position. Base is too wide. Again, hips are pointing one way, upper body in another. That you call the disconnection between the upper body and the lower body. And he is able to grab the guy inside. He's able to get his left hand inside and his right hand onto the hip. Again, process first results. So I don't like the first part. I like the recovery. This is where you see some of the fluidity, the agility he has to be able to work back inside from a less than ideal position. And then his eyes still stay up so he doesn't panic right here, gets his hand into the hip, stays there long enough to pass him off to the left guard. Again, eyes on that looper. Drops, hand inside, the right hand inside of the chest. The left arm comes underneath the armpit. Looks like he extends a little bit to pop him and then stays with him laterally. So I'll play that in full speed. Not good first part of this. Good recovery and good stump pickup, eyes up, not panicking, etc. So again, some good, some bad. Second overall, prospect in terms of offensive tackles, but he definitely is raw in some areas. That he needs to work on. But I don't think there's a lot of weaknesses. I just think the weaknesses show up too often. So if you can eliminate 3 or 4 of those weaknesses with NFL coaching, the athleticism this guy has, and I don't put the combine numbers into it, but he blew up the combine. Like everything he was doing was like number 1 in tackles in the last couple of years, or number 1 in this class, but he's top tier. Again, a little bit of an overset. So you see what I'm saying? And you're gonna see this a lot. First step, not a ton of ground. That's not that bad though. Not a ton of ground. Second with the inside, good. Huge step, like heel clicking. You cannot have this. Again, it throws you too far outside. So this is going to lead to oversetting, and you're not able to cut as quickly, either inside or outside when you're going to end up being this wide to try to recover inside. And like I said, it just doesn't allow for quick lateral movement. So yes, he recovers versus a guy in Michigan. Does he recover versus a guy versus Chandler Jones this year or whoever? Like the Jets play a ton of team. Any average NFL rusher, even a bad NFL rusher, is better than a lot of these guys in college he's playing. So their job recovering. Left, again, really similar as the last play. Left hand inside, right hand onto the hip. Good job attacking center of gravity, though. He definitely is good at that. And at this point, he just completely takes this is like another ET stunt. And at this point, he's just going to take him. And the reason for this being is this guy is looping inside and he knows the screen pass is coming. So it's a quick hitting play. So he has the kind of the flexibility to not jump out on that inside, just take the outside, just take the inside guy as he's the penetrator picker, whatever you want to call him, drives him, finishes him to the ground, jumps on top of him. So again, he likes to finish his blocks and he likes to lay on top of guys, which is great because it completely takes them out of the play. So, and if you're that guy and you are playing a game and a guy who's 320 pounds lands on top of you, it makes you think twice sometimes. And honestly, he can knock the breath out of you, which is good too. Let's be honest. Gap exchange pickup. Okay, so I think I know this play, and you can already tell just based on the alignment. When guys are really like tight like this, and there's a linebacker like really pressing on a scrimmage, there's some type of game going on, some type of twist, some type of stunt, some type of gap exchange. So there's most likely, I said it already, there's going to be gap exchange. So I think maybe this guy rushes the B, maybe he scrapes over the top and rushes the C. Okay, yeah. So again, just good pre-snap awareness. When you see really like wide stuff, even here, if I was the left tackle and the left guard, I would be aware of some type of stunt right there. They don't do it, but you still have to be aware of it. With fronts like that. So up here, you could definitely tell something's going on here. He does not overcommit to the penetrator, the picker. Doesn't create a lot of doesn't move a lot in his set because he knows something is most likely going up. And this guy's tight, so he doesn't have to get really far outside or really far vertical. If anything, he could just jump set him. So he kind of runs that outside foot, waits for something to happen, sees the guy is going to penetrate, cross shove, again, hips square while you're doing that cross shove. That's what that means, where you're playing, long. You don't want to see the penetrator flip your hips, take them inside. Now your hips are flipped inside, and then you have the looper, the twist coming outside, and you have to now drop your post and get around to him. You want to stay square. So stay square, cross shove, passes him off to the left guard, and then gets out again quickly. I'll play this in full speed so you can see some of his movement skills. Like that's like it, and it doesn't. And it looks it's so smooth. It's really fast. Like it almost doesn't look fast, but this is fast for an offensive lineman. It's just super smooth. His pads aren't bouncing up and down. Good base working over to there. Gets his hands inside, maintains his base, drops his weight below that guy. Most likely driving off his insteps. It looks like, and completely shuts that rush down. So again, another good job by Wirfs. Lean and run game. All right. So he is the right tackle again. Okay, yeah, you don't want to see this one. So he takes this, it's almost like a drop step. He kind of just runs that foot, and you see what I'm saying with him leading in the run game. So I would like to see him just shuffle up to the guy. If anything, take a step up field with the left foot because he's outside leverage on you, and climb while you're shuffling. But he just runs his one foot and then completely leans into the block without his hips. So he is off balance right here. Again, you want to see, the shin and the upper body at the same angle, while the thigh to the butt is working at the complete opposite angle. And the midsection of the body, the hips of the body, working as like your center of gravity. So you want to balance out that center of gravity, and he is not. He is completely leaning into this block, completely top heavy. He gets like club arm overed. People call it a swim. I call it a club arm over. A swim involves another hand for me, but club arm over. And the linebacker, again, doesn't necessarily get into the tackle. He does at the end. But this is still not a good play. He can't reach that hard. He needs to take his hips, his feet with him into the block. Work up to him, climb that tree, as they say. Work off your insteps, tight. Nice tight on guard hands, and shoot him. So let's see. Pull up the next play. I gotta pause it for 2 seconds. All right, next play. Play 9 of 30. So he is the. All right. So I differentiate a little bit with pin and pulls and pin and folds. For him, this is a pin and fold. Looks like a. So he does a skip pull right here. So he's going to drop that right foot back. Some people like to hop backwards with both feet and then cross over. Some people, there's a couple different ways of skip pulls. I'll show you them as I see them. But he's going to drop that right foot, cross over with the left. And the reason for the skip pull is to be square to the line of scrimmage while covering ground. It's more for a tighter pull. When you're pulling multiple gaps, it's more than likely going to be an open pull. But people skip pull, square pull, shuffle pull for tighter gaps. So he skip pulls right here. Good footwork. He's not off balance or anything like that. So good footwork again. And I say it when you're not going to be in that contact window, crossing your feet, especially literally called a skip pull, is what you're supposed to do, is fine. When you're in that contact window, crossing your feet, not a good thing. So he's doing that to cover ground. And I call this a fold block. When it's a pin and pull, it's multiple gaps. When you're only pulling one gap, I call it a fold. So he folds right there, kicks out the edge, left hand inside. Better, he's a little bit upright here. And his base looks a little bit narrow. Overall, he still does get his left hand on, and he's able to. Honestly, if he was better into his base right here, he would deliver more of a pop. But the low man wins most times, or even if it's not the low man necessarily wins, even if the low man is 60 pounds less than you, you're not going to move him as you would if you had a better base and got hands lower. So his hands are a little wide right here, a little bit upright, but he's still able to show some grip strength, keep onto the block. You see right here, he kind of dips him down with that circular force right there, continues to drive his feet, and drives him all the way to the sideline and out of bounds onto his ass. So some good, some bad. I like the leg drive. I like the grip strength. I like the core strength right there to torque him. I like the skip pull, but he could have been better, coming into the block with both of his hands and his base and his leverage. So quick off the snap, drives, finishes. He's the right tackle again right here. All right. They're running like a tighter inside zone. I'm not going to go crazy and trying to look at it. It doesn't really matter. It's either the outside hip of the center or the inside hip of the guard, the outside hip of the guard. There's people who say mid zone is the inside hip of the tackle. There's people who say mid zone is outside hip of the tackle. I say it's outside hip of the tackle, and outside zone is even wider than that. And then wide zone is even wider than that. Actually, no, it depends. I don't know. So I'm just saying there's a lot of different terminology. So I'm going to say inside zone, tight zone. And he does a good job right here. He takes like that bucket, almost like that bucket step. It's not a true bucket step. He's kind of more, it's more of a drop step, I would call it, with that left foot. And he's doing that again to work laterally. It's going to be hard for him if he just takes that step upfield and then tries to turn a step, because as you take that step upfield, your hips are not locked forward, but with that step vertically and then trying to turn past that foot when your foot's upfield, it's really hard. As like, just think about it, trying to put your foot out and then make a quick turn off of that. Or if your foot is right under your shoulder, and you open it, it's a lot easier to turn and work laterally. So he takes that drop step, opens up his hips to work laterally, and he wants to take on the inside shoulder of the 3-tech, because he wants to maintain his inside leverage, cover the inside. Works right past him and like cut off blocks him. Not really using his hand, but he's just dropping his shoulder he's dropping his outside into his inside. Good job with that. Is able to get under his pads. He's using almost like a ram right here, where he's just throwing his forearm into him and just going to drive him. As soon as he that ram come in, it looks like his hand is on the back right there. Okay, so that's just like upper body versus upper body. There are guys who you see throw their forearm into him. So drives him all the way into the ground. So again, good angle to work upfield. And if he's going to fight hard to stay over the top, then take him vertically, So he's not going to be able to drive just right past you. So good job by him finishing that block right there. Attacks hip. All right. I'm going to like this. He is okay. Right tackle again. Yeah. So they're wedge blocking, where the center is going to take his most immediate threat, and everybody else is just going to crash inside and down block. This is usually for quarterback sneaks, fullback dives, halfback dives, and Wirfs is working on the combo with the left guard. And so he attacks him more of the rib cage. Still, that's fine. The lower you attack on that hip, the better it is, and attacking into the rib cage is fine. You don't want to attack into the shoulder, because again, your center of gravity is your hips, and the lower you get to it, the more you're going to move the guys. So gets good hand placement, relatively good hand placement, and drives him and creates movement right there. You'd see him drive him completely out of the play from where he originally started if you just watch his body from right here to so he just drives him pretty much straight up field. So vertical displacement right there is great, and he has inside leverage. So good job right there. Powerful legs, good hand placement, runs his feet. Lean. All right. So right tackle again. So I'm talking about where he leans in the run game, and he tends to get jerked or pulled to the ground. So another drop step. So I'm saying with angles, this is almost parallel to the ground. His upper body is a little bit more upright, but still he is not on balance right here with his upper body working at a completely vertical angle. So parallel and vertical. If this guy's not here, he's falling over right now. He needs contact to stay up, or he'll at least stumble if he's not going to fall because he's an athlete. But that is not a good angle to work at. Upper body leaning into the block, no base into it, not a good play. Again, needs to take his feet with him into that block, climb that tree, work off your insteps, tight hands ready, as I've been saying. But this is not going to work. It doesn't work on this play against Minnesota. It's not going to work against the ends in the NFL. So he needs to take his feet with him in the blocks. So he has some issues in the run game for me. And they're running a Bob zone. That's what I call a Bob zone. So you're not going to have the lead zone where the fullback's working to the outside linebacker, or the Mike zone when he's working to the backside backer, back on backer. It's Bob block. So it's a Bob zone, but it gets blown up. And listen, again, this is where I talk about it. Result versus process. The process should have made it a negative 2-yard loss, but because of the running back, it's a first down, maybe even a touchdown. So hey, he ran off of, like, this is where I don't know how guys grade, like Pro Football Focus. Okay, well, he ran to the right side off of Wirfs. Is this a positive play for Wirfs? I don't know. For them, I have no idea, like, how that, if it's based on film or if it's just based on, okay, they ran to his side, it was successful. So process versus results should have been a yard or two loss because of Wirfs right there. Needs work in the running game for sure. Movement, all right. Right tackle again. Tight zone split. Out of this pistol, to fit with the jet motion, just to throw off the defense a little bit. Wirfs works down because he doesn't have to worry about this outside linebacker, the edge player, because that's what the split flow is taking care of, the sifter. And again, the lower to the hip, the better. Anywhere armpit or below, I mark as positive hand placement. So positive hand placement under the shoulder into the ribs, drives them, gets relatively low. His eyes are onto the second level, onto the mic. The outside linebacker right here, the backside linebacker, is going to be left unblocked. He's not going to have to make this play. So he's worrying about the mic. Gets movement, creates displacement. He sees eyes are early to the linebacker. He's not overcommitting to that block. His hips are a little bit, but he knows he's going to be able to drop and pick up that guy. So good job dropping, picking up the linebacker, and staying with him, even though he falls down because he looks like his foot gets stepped on right there. So I'll play that in full speed. You're going to see some of the, like I said, the good movement, eyes on second level, drops, picks him up. He's definitely a really, really interesting prospect in terms of his overall mobility plus his strength and his wrestling background. So torque. All right. The lead zone. I don't love the footwork here. And this is where, like, it's a college coach, and college coaches are great. Like offensive line coaches, I just listened to a guy from like Kent State the other day, offensive line coach, and he was talking about some things. I was like, damn, I have to look that up again. I forget the hell that is. And there's stuff that I don't know that he's talking about, obviously. The thing that I was talking to somebody about it the other day. Like I try to dive into receivers, to corners, to offensive line, to linebackers, to running back, and I think I'm like pretty solid at each of them, but I don't really dive into one position like an offensive line does, or offensive line coach does, even though I think I provide you guys with some good information about it. But here, I don't like that they're aiming at an inside gap, and he's opening up his hips outside this far. So this is, you see some of the disconnection here from his hips to his upper body. So I would like to see him work more with his upper body, work up. You can maybe even take that drop step, but I don't want to see this now left foot pointed in the direction it's going. So I like to see, again, more climb the tray square, because now it makes him tougher to block him. But now this is where like the wrestling background comes into place. I like the hand placement. The right arm comes under. The left hand looks like it comes inside as well, and he's able to torque him. This is like the core strength they talk about, some of the wrestling type stuff you see. He's able to drive his feet even though his base is narrow. And just run him outside. So you can see how he gets shed here, though. He gets because he is driving from a narrow base, so he's off balance. You see how wide his feet are; they're almost stepping on each other, and he gets shed. So some positives, some negatives. I don't like the initial footwork to block this, to keep this guy at an outside leverage. I would see more climb and outside instead of just outside then climb. So I'd see a little bit better angles right here, but overall some negative, some positive. All right, play 15, halfway through. Resets, hands, torques, finish. All right, so he's the right tackle again. All right. All right, so this is more of like a this is like a swerve. I would call this a swerve, where they're all blocking down. They want the defense to flow over to this side, and then you have this fullback releasing to like arc block anything coming up the field, and Wirfs just wants to kick out, keep that defender to the D end to the outside, take him out of the play. Another like drop step right here. Now this is a lot better leverage. Look, you see how his upper body to the same angle as his shins, it looks like, and his hips look like they're working a little bit. Maybe he's a little bit too upright here, but it's a lot better of angles, not too upright, etc. So a better angle from him right there. I can't tell where his hands are because broadcast angle sucks. It looks he's able to get under the shoulder pad, torque him. That's the circular force I talk about. It's kind of like circular force and lift. So you have the four different types of like power ways to create power: lifting, pushing, pulling. I just forgot one. Lifting, pushing, pulling, and something else. I'm blanking out right now. But and circular force. Duh. So this is like lift and circular force gets under him, torques him outside. See the hips are working right there, and he keeps his hand on. So I like how once he torques, he continues to be aggressive and continues to work his hands, and then just pushes them to the ground. It looks like he trips, to be completely honest. It looks like that the left foot of the linebacker trips over, his other guy's foot, but still. And then he finishes the block. This is you don't want to see if you're on the ground right here. This is your no shit mode because Wirfs is coming. He's gonna drop his whole body weight onto you. So I definitely like the finish right there. Moving to second level. Moving in second level, to second level, whatever I'm saying. All right, so he's the right tackle. All right, so he's pulling to get outside. Bucket step, pulls outside. And I like this. I remember watching this play. I like the smarts of this play. He's not overcommitting to anything. You could see he knows the running back's angle is going to be to the outside right here. He doesn't want to overreact to anything that's going to undercut him, because the running back should be able to outrun them. He doesn't have to turn and pick up this guy because he's going to be able to out leverage him, and he has to work through two offensive linemen and a tight end blocking guys. So I like how this guy flashes free. He's not overcommitting to him. You can see his hips continue to stay outside, just uses his arms, throws him to the ground where he's already pretty much going, well, off balance, but throws his hands on him. Now he's gone out of the play, checks the running back. The running back's still coming up, and he just finds the next man to block and blocks number 10 too. So if he was to you see the running back, honestly, right here, instead of just dropping his shoulder, I think the better idea for the running back to be, because you have maybe some room inside, would be to drop his hips down to the ground and cut inside instead of just running to the sideline. But we're not doing the running back right now. So good movement in the second level. 2 plays in a row. All right. So he's the right tackle again. I'll explain it, but you can just watch him right here versus this defensive lineman and see how much he drives him back so quickly. One, he explodes off of the ball. Now, when you're tighter and tighter quarters, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, you have more room to lean in the run game because you want to explode forward because that guy's most likely going to explode forward. So you don't want to necessarily come up right off the snap because he's gonna pop and get under your pads. So you have more room to just lunge at guys in tight quarters. Not sure where his left hand lands. His right hand is into the armpit. See, it's under the armpit right there. Lifts him while he's driving and just drives through his lower body and completely moves that what is he, like a wide 3-4 eye. So good play by him right there. And the quarterback runs right behind him and the center and picks up the first down. The next play is another, I think, run for – oh, damn. Okay, hold on. Ooh. Let me close out that play. I forgot it was 2 plays in a row, so I went to the next play. And I spelled his name wrong on this one. So, okay. So that's the first play. I forgot I had to continue through the video. Next play on 1st and goal, because they just got the first down. He's the right tackle again. And they sneak right here on 1st and goal from the 3, which I don't love that call, but they're again like they're wedge blocking. He's working down, gets his right hand. You're gonna see it right here. His right hand you're gonna see it right there again into the rib cage, and he literally lifts this guy up off of his feet. He's no contact with the ground right now, so he lifts this guy off his feet. So good leverage, good hand placement. You're gonna see the power roll through the hips and up, pops the guy in the air, drives him all the way to the ground, and lays on top of him. So he drives his guy back, 3 yards onto the ground, and he's laying on top of him. So Wirfs did his job on that play. Even though I don't like a QB sneak from the 3-yard line on 1st down, but story for a different day. Now he's left. Oh, I was right. Okay, so yeah, now you see Iowa State. Now he plays some left tackle here. He switches multiple times during this game. A lot better block right here in the run game. Looks like the right foot steps first. It's most likely, it looks like it's lateral. See what I'm talking about, where he's not working outside then up. He's working upfield then out. That's the angle you want to work at, especially if you're trying to cover upfield from especially on the backside, even on the front side too, to be completely honest. Especially if your aiming points are more to the outside. On that front side, on the backside, it's the same for both. So they're running another Bob zone and works upfield first, and then works his hips past them. So leaning into him a little bit, but it's okay. For this scenario, gets his right hand inside, and then uses that as his upper body as a pivot point. Gets his hips around, keeps his hands on him, finishes the block. So good job working your hips right there, getting your hands inside, covering that play side, working upfield before out on the guys. So good job. Tight hand. All right. I think we're talking a little bit about tight hand versus loose hand here. Yeah, okay. So like I think this is Skarnecchia who I learned this from, but tight hand versus loose hand. If you know you're gonna have backside help, you want your inside hand tight, because if it's tight and you can basically this is what I'm trying to say. If he didn't have help from the inside right here, he would have a loose hand, where his hand would, if this guy was to penetrate, he would have a loose hand and he would pick him up with that loose hand. So he's trying to cover more ground through the backside B gap. When you are from the B gap to his left, when you have that tight hand, you're expecting help, and you're not gonna turn your body for that block a lot because you have that backside help. Now you'll help if he's gonna hit that tight hand, but you're not worried about him penetrating the B gap because you have that help. Now, if he didn't have help right here, you'd see more of a loose hand in him really flip to that guy right here, but he has a tight hand. So he's a tight hand, keeps his outside hand free as soon as he engages with the 5 tech. He is going to, again, flash his eyes right outside, keep his outside half free, and pick up this guy, because now he knows that the left guard is going to pick that guy up. So that's the tight hand right there. That's what I call the tight hand. Picks that guy up, and the running back is able to get a couple of yards here. Play 20 of 30. Shuts rush down. Look, yeah, he's the left tackle. All right. Changed up his pass sets and cadences. He definitely likes. So again, when a guy is tighter to you, you don't have to worry as much about getting outside him or getting vertical. You can more jump set him, which is not necessarily what he does here. I wouldn't call this a jump set. I would just call this, he just roots his feet down. Honestly, I'd probably like to see a little bit more movement in his feet right here, but it's okay. So he just widens out to brace, almost like a brace step, roots his feet down. As that guy comes into the contact window, you see how Wirfs hops back a little bit into his anchor to get lower and to work his power up through the ground. So he hops back right there, and he's expecting contact, lands the right hand inside, Gets the left arm doesn't really land anywhere. He gets popped back a little bit. He's able to maintain a nice base right here, get outside on the guy. And then as soon as he feels the guy leaning, which he goes to shoot. Let me see this. Okay, so he actually throws out the left hand right here, and Wirfs uses his right hand to pull him down a little bit right there. So really good hand fighting right here by Wirfs to grab that hand and pull him down. It forces the DN to be off balance, and Wirfs knows that, leans into him, gets his left arm or his outside arm, his left arm inside, and he pulls him to the ground right here. Good job, honestly, by the DN staying upright and continuing his rush, but good job by Wirfs pulling his hand down, getting his left hand inside, dropping his hips right here to stay with the block. You don't want him to get underneath of you. He continues to stay low, has hand placement, and then he is going to shoot that hand into the chest, the ribs, and pop him upwards. Circular force. Boom, lift him off of his feet. So good job, good block by Wirfs there for sure. Definitely a good block. Climb square. He is, again, the left tackle. Another good job. They're running a mid zone, let's call it, from this gun set. Good job assisting. Good job staying square right here and assisting the left guard. And this does affect the rusher. You want to at least throw like that. It's like a hand check. He throws a hand check and he affects this guy. You see how he pops his shoulder back, so it's taking his momentum away. So he takes his momentum away and allows the left guard to be able to. Doesn't look like a scooch. Looks like he crosses his feet, but he's able to get outside leverage right there. Where you want the outside leverage on mid zone, outside zone. So good job right there, slowing down the momentum, not overcommitting, staying square to the Mike backer. Stay square. Shuffles upfield. I'm fine with him. So here, I would like to see him shuffle upfield. I like to see it in less big steps. You see how his feet are, they kind of click and he hops. I don't like hops in really any scenario. Like I said, minus pulls and things like that. If you're like skip pulling, you hop a little bit, fine. But when you might have a guy penetrating hard inside, right here, he's a little bit off balance. And if he does, he throws a right hand over here probably. If this linebacker was a little bit quicker to shoot that gap, and you see how he's hesitating a little bit, like he's running a little bit upright, hesitating. If he was to really just penetrate hard through that B gap and defeat that hand, he might be able to make the tackle on the running back. So just a little bit of improvement there. I would like to see. I'm fine with him working his hips upfield and his body upfield, but I'd like to see it from a better base, allowing quicker movement. Because he like I said, takes out the linebacker who's playing for Iowa State. Could he do it against CJ Moses of the world and Bobby Wagner's will be playing, etc. So gets back inside, gets his hand inside onto the shoulder. It looks like he might be holding a little bit, but he's tight. The tighter you are, the less holds are going to get called. When refs see arms wide and swing like this, you can tell he's grabbing onto something. When they're tight like this, it's hard to tell for refs. So good job keeping him tight, pushing him out of the play. So good recovery again. I really love the first part. Love this. Don't love the hop. So you could fix that a little bit, but again, there's a lot of play you're going to see. There's going to be something to improve on a little bit. So torque inside. Now he's right tackle. They're liking to run off of his hip in this game. So this looks like a scooch. Right foot goes back and horizontal, left foot hops. Let's call it. I don't necessarily want to say it's a scooch 100% because I can't see the footwork, but it looks like a scooch. So good job by him with this guy with outside leverage. He wants to work horizontally, then up in this scenario because he wants to cover the outside. So good job with like the scooch-ish type technique. It looks like a scooch, but I'm not gonna say 100% because I can't exactly see the feet. So stay square. Loses ground to gain ground, gets his left hand, I can't tell, but his right hand is inside, torques him inside. Circular force, power through the core, works the hips outside, takes him to the ground. I'll play it in full speed. So good athleticism here, good foot technique, good power through the upper body, good job working the hips. There's a good amount of positives on that play. Play 23. Move body 3rd and 1. Maybe a wedge blocks one. Yeah, wedge blocking again. So he's blocking. Okay, so they modified. They didn't necessarily modify this a little bit. So he's more hats. He's hats on where he's right over top of him. He's the 4 tech because this guy is inside of the left guard. He just has to worry about him. So he doesn't have to necessarily block down. He's just going to drive this guy. So comes off of the ball pretty low. I can't tell where his hands land because this angle sucks. They get underneath. Regardless, he is able to get into the guy and drive him backwards into the ground. And you could tell there's some power in his leg drive right here. He looks like hands on, rolled it to the hips and just drives him. And this guy literally, his feet slip out from under him because Wirfs is creating that much force. The running back cuts right behind him, or the fullback, and the fullback dive, and he picks up the first down right here. Good job. Smooth recovery. All right, so it looks like it might be a bad start, good finish type deal. All right, so he is the right tackle. Okay, so let's see if what I said before applies here. So small right foot step. Some people call that first step the drive catch, the first step of the kick slide, whatever. Again, I'm not going to go crazy for terminology because everybody has it. I have my own terminology, but if you call that the drive catch and I call it the first step of the kick slide, who cares? As long as we know what both are talking about. So doesn't cover much ground on that. So 1 is small, 2 is small, or 3 are 4 and 5 going to be big. Yeah. So again, you see how he's going to like that next step is going to be big. With both the feet, and in the middle of his step, he's no contact with the ground right here. Both feet are off the ground, and now the guy cuts inside, and he goes into oh shit mode, and it looks like his feet would have been even a bigger step, but he sees the guy cutting inside, as he's in the middle of that step. So 2 big of steps again on that 3rd and 4th, or the 4th and 5th step. He needs to clean that up. Upper body and lower body disconnection leading into it. That is not a great base to work from for sure. Now, if this rusher was honestly good, he would have planted hard on that left foot, chopped those hands down, and then rushed inside. Like if that's an NFL rusher, he's probably get beat right here, to be completely honest. But he's able to land his hand inside, or he'd be more prepared to land inside, like stab inside, defeat those hands, and then get outside. But he doesn't really have a great plan right here. Wirfs is able to land his right hand into the chest, and then he's able to, again, this is what I like with recovery. Smooth steps, doesn't panic. He's not too top heavy, and his heels are clicking a little bit right here, but he's needing to cover a lot of ground. When you're chasing guys, or not necessarily chasing guys, when you flip your hips and actually chase them, that's what I call it, chasing. But he's having to get vertical in a hurry right here, so you can heel. You have a little bit more flexibility to heel click. In this scenario, again, every situation is different. Sometimes you can take small steps, sometimes you want to take the big steps, sometimes you want to take whatever, you know what I'm saying? I could say sometimes you want to be big, they're small. Sometimes you want to be small, they're big. So good job getting outside with a good base, not panicking, knowing the quarterback set point, let him come over top right here, maintaining that inside leverage. As soon as he comes to spin inside, he expects it, lands the left hand into there. So into the chest, I shouldn't say into there. All right, 25. Core strength, right tackle here. Or, nope, maybe not. Left tackle here, sorry. I literally automatically assumed this guy light skin, that wasn't him, but I didn't realize it was a tight end. So 12 personnel. And another fold, I call that a fold. Opens up, drop step with the left, skip, that skip pull right there. Skip pull, good job staying square. You do it to cover, some ground, but while maintaining, your squareness to the line of scrimmage. You don't want to open pull right here and have your hips completely open to the outside and have to turn, flip your hips around again. So it would make sense to open pull right here. So skip pull, square, right hand into what looks like it lands onto his shoulder, slips down the bicep and under the elbow into the ribs, and he's able to torque him outside. stay with the block. So the only thing I would say he can improve on right here is I like this part of it. I think there's a little bit of disconnection right there. Here, once he throws into the outside, the running back's most likely going to be cutting, off of your ass and upfield. So I would like to say him stay a little bit more vertical right here and then work to him. Again, it's like the heat of the moment thing. So he's just trying to work right to him, but you see how he works to him and he's able to plant and work over top of him. So I like to see him take a better angle after that initial disengagement. Because and he's able to, and he holds him right here too. So if the ref sees this, you see he's pulling the shoulder pad down. That's because he works at this angle. If you're following my mouse, this angle instead of this angle. So needs to stay more over top right there on that block, and he ends up holding the guy. It does not get called, but that is a hold. Sees a lot of jersey. Yeah. All right. 5 more plays left. 5 more plays left. I post it, and then we work on Lamb. And then the next show for this comes Wills, who I like a lot. Let's just say that. You're going to see a lot of me gushing over Wills. I'm gushing a little bit over Wirfs. I like Wirfs a lot too. So honestly, if any of these guys fall to like 7-8, am I fine with the Jets giving up a 3rd-round pick to move up and get one of these guys? To be completely honest, I am. I feel strongly about these guys. I think they're all really good. You get to give up a 3rd-round pick to secure a guy you really, really like, who's going to be a stalwart of your offensive line for years and years to come. Do it. I'm more willing with Wills because I love Wills. I don't care. Left tackle, yeah, sure, it's a little bit more important because it's Sam's blind side, but it's only because of that. Right tackle is still really, really important, and you face the better rushers from the right side. Even though, if you think about it, the guys rushing from the left tackle should be the better rushers. It's just it happens to be the guys working off the right side, because the left side, the benefit with that is, the quarterback doesn't see you. So if you beat that guy, you have the sack. Where if you work off of the quarterback's right side and he's facing to the right, he might get more depth into his drop and work around you. He might work underneath you. He might scramble. So it's actually harder to rush as a left outside linebacker left end than it is as a right outside linebacker. But here he is the left tackle. For me, he leans a little bit too much into this block. You see that his upper body, there's a lot of waist bend right there. I call that the waist bend. So too much waist bend, but he is able to get his hands on and roll up his power. Waist bend, but he does roll up the power. And he gets underneath the guy, drives him all the way to the ground. That's the hand trend I talk about, when he's able to like working from these weird angles. Like, he's off balance right here. If you heard me on Scott's podcast talk about Wirfs, or maybe I think it's come out maybe in a week or two or whatever it comes out. We record podcasts and release them. You're gonna hear me talk about him be off balance but still on balance. He's off balance, but he's still balanced right here. Like, he's still able to drive the guy. So this is like where I see like the little hints of the wrestling come in. Good grip strength are here to stay with the block, off balance but on balance, drives through the guy and to the ground. Good job. Torque. Circular force here. Oh. All right, so he is the right tackle. They're running like a lead outside zone, almost like a boss zone. Whoever's going to cross his face, he's going to block, or whoever who's going to come into that contact window with the fullback, he's going to block. And Wirfs wants to get outside. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to love the footwork right here. He doesn't end up in great position. Yeah, more of like a drop step. So again, in these scenario, okay, like this guy's like heads up to you a little bit outside. Use a scooch. Get outside, work laterally, but to drop his foot right there, that's a wasted step. You're not doing anything right there, really. That and the foot is forward, so now your foot is forward, and you're trying to move your hips past your foot that's forward. So your foot wants to go this way, and you're trying to work your hips past it. So you're not going to create as much lateral movement when you're working past your foot and over your foot like that. Now, if his foot was open, now his foot wants to go that way, and you're able to move more. It's just how the body works. So I don't love the footwork to get outside right here, but he is able to get his hands on. And he's going to work his hips to get the positional leverage he needs on this guy on the D end. Works his hips around. he actually gets aided a little bit by that linebacker who looks like he bumps his guy inside a little bit. So he gets aided by that linebacker, to be completely honest. But I do like the fact that he's staying hands-on and is working his hips around and then pushes him right underneath of the running back's angle. So some good, again, some bad. And the good thing about these shows is too, like I can't talk this much on Twitter. Like Twitter, there's 240 characters, and I would say like one sentence on here, and it would be the end of a Twitter thing. So I think it's good to listen to the podcast and watch too. Like, listen, like when I break it down on Twitter, you kind of have to see what I say and maybe try to break it down like second by second to see exactly what I'm saying. But here I can really show you, like, pause it, etc. So I think these shows are worthwhile. Okay, yeah. So he's the left tackle right here. They're running like a tight belly zone. Wirfs wants to just create some vertical displacement. The more outside you get, some coaches like it to be more horizontal displacement. Whereas if you're working inside, it's more vertical, which involves more power. So he gets his left hand to the outside bicep. I can't tell where the right arm is, but I do like how he gets hands-on, and then he's going to work his power through his hips, instep with the right foot, and is able to, even though he gets caught in the chest a little bit right here. Look, yeah, it looks like he gets caught in the chest a little bit right here. This is just his lower body dry. Like, he has strong legs too. So working the instep off the right foot, he's just underneath him, and he just can continue to drive right into the ground again. Good job. Left. Or two left. All right. Let's see. Wirfs works upfield. Left tackle. All right. So can't tell the footwork. Doesn't look like that left foot covers a lot of ground, so I don't necessarily love it. Feet look like they're crossing a little bit or near. Yeah, they're crossing. So not the best footwork by him. Needs to clean up some footwork overall in the run game and the passing a little bit too, to be honest. So you see the length come into play. The right arm lands inside. Yeah, the right arm lands inside. The left hand comes over top like that half moon punch that Jim McNally calls it. It's just like a containment punch to get the left hand onto the shoulder to make him, that hand for the outside is to make sure he doesn't come over top of you. The right hand is going to create that movement, and you see him torquing. He's working hard to pull him or push him to the outside while he's working his hips around. The guy continues to scrape over the top, and he's just going to get underneath and continue to drive him to the ground. And he rolls on him and hits his head on his ass on his helmet too, which might push his face into the turf a little bit and cut him up, which is good. I'm fine with that. So good block by him there. The last play of the podcast. Wirfs first spin. Again, I know I'm pumping them out fast. You guys should be in quarantine. Hopefully you're watching all of these. I hope I'm not overloading people, but it's just kind of what has to happen during the draft time. I don't want to have 30 plays of Wirfs that I don't do a show on, if we're going to keep getting subscribers and things like that. So keep pumping out the content. People will hear about it. Like I said, tell your friends and stuff. If they're big Jets fans, they don't have a lot of stuff to watch. So he is the left tackle. See that first step of his kick slide does not cover a lot of ground at all. It doesn't do anything on this play. 1, 2, 3. Big steps again on that. Was it 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th step? Huge again. And his base is a little bit too wide right here. When your legs are like too far outside of your shoulders, you're not going to be able to move quickly laterally again, like I said before. So too big of a step there, but he ends up in a good position on this. This is more of a vertical set. I don't necessarily love how he's opening his hips right away, to be honest. This is too soon. If you're going to vertical set, then vertical set. Keep your hips square to the line of scrimmage in your vertical setting. If the guy's going to rush off of your left shoulder here, you're giving him less surface area to work against. You're giving him a really hard edge. When you open up, now the rusher's working against your full body. When you're working against a full body, you have room to get hands inside and do speed to power and things like that. So he opens up a little bit too soon. I don't necessarily love the feet, but he is able to land the right hand onto the shoulder. And you're just going to see some some good like lateral stop start right here where he's getting pushed to the outside and he's able to get really low on that foot and turn inside. Like this is where like that flexibility, hip mobility, lateral stop start, like all kind of in one play where he's getting thrown backwards while working his hips are working this way. And he's able to stop in 2 steps, work off to the instep. You see how like flexible his body is right here? So he gets spun, and this guy's going to try to flatten out and rush over top of him and get to the quarterback's level. Good job by him stopping right there, like really contorting his body. Right hand underneath, lift, and pass the quarterback. Now the quarterback has to notice this because here he might get slapped in the face or maybe his arm hit or whatever. He's not going to get sacked right here unless the guy has really good grip strength. But so good job by the quarterback recognizing it. But the first phase, don't love it. Gets spun. Love this. This part of it is really, really good. Gets under him, drives him past the quarterback into the ground, gets his hands on again, and the quarterback throws it out of bounds. But that is it for the Wirfs review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Today is Monday. I will be back on Wednesday, I believe. Wednesday or Thursday, but most likely Wednesday, with a review of Wills. And then after that, we get into CD Lamb. So I hope you guys stick around. Like I said, spread the word. If you watch on YouTube, subscribers keep going up. We appreciate that. Comment. If you have questions, I forget what my Gmail account is. Let me see what this is, just so I could give it to you guys. Just if you do have a question, if you're like, hey, on the next show when you talk about offensive alignment, can you explain this? I will try to explain it. Let me just pull it. I'll just talk for a second while I pull this up, just because I want to be able to give that to you guys too, so you can email me. I think and again, reviews, all the stuff, it really helps me out. So if you can just take 2 minutes, even if you do watch on the, if you just watch on the YouTube, if you have the podcast app, but you don't listen to the podcast because obviously you watch it, just drop a 5-star right there really quick if you could. Like I said, I appreciate it a lot more than people know. I'm not just saying it. So the Gmail is, you can send me questions here it's Joe Blewett, Joe Blewett, BLEWETT 59 at gmail.com. Send me questions, even if you don't want to be answered on the show. Hey, I'm just curious about what is this technique or where can I find this? Like, just send me a question. I'm fine with it. If I can answer it, I can answer. If I can, I might not be able to. I'm not, super in depth and everything. Like I'm not Bill Belichick, so there's certain things I might not be able to answer. But I'll do my best to answer it if it's off the top of my head. Email me there. Drop those reviews. I'll be back soon. And then right before the draft, I'm going to do a mailbag. So if you want to send mailbag questions to that as well, the quicker you send them in, I'm going to answer them on that podcast. That's the order they're sent in is the order I answer them. So I'm going to do a mailbag, send questions there, send questions for anything at that Gmail account. Like I said, Joe Blewett 59, no spaces, at gmail.com. And I will see you guys in 2 days.